Are we streaming and recording?
Yeah. Oh. That's now.
What did you just hit?
External. Basically, you have to make sure all three of these are.
Okay.
I can run singular.
We good, Ellie? Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Tonight here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Connor Hines. Hope you all are staying safe and hopefully dry out there on this very stormy evening in Atlanta. And obviously, as we touched on yesterday, when Helene happens, well, that's going to affect sports too. And let's pick up right where we left off yesterday, at the top of yesterday's show, because yes, the Atlanta Braves were postponed the remainder of their series with the New York Mets. That'll set up a Monday doubleheader with the Mets to more than likely decide this final wild card spot and this final playoff spot for the Braves. But some new information to report today, because we now know that Max Fried will start Friday's game against the Kansas City Royals. That's right. The Atlanta Braves also scheduled to play the Kansas City Royals Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before their doubleheader with the Mets on Monday. So this presents kind of an interesting situation for the Braves, because you decide to start Fried on Friday. Saturdays and Sundays starters are still to be announced. And really what this comes down to is this is a day-to-day approach for the Braves based on how their wild card hopes look, and really how the hopes for the rest of the wild card teams in the mix look. Bottom line, you want to save Chris Sale, who's been your best starting pitcher, for when you need him most. I think the most ideal scenario for the Braves is that you have both Chris Sale and Spencer Schwellenbach at your disposal for those two games on Monday against the Mets, which will more than likely decide whether or not you get into the playoffs. Whether or not the Braves will have that luxury, depending on what else happens with everybody else in the wild card mix, well, that's what that'll hinge on this weekend. So Max Fried will start Friday's game against the Kansas City Royals. Saturday and Sunday's games against the Royals, still TBD for the starting pitcher. And then you've got that big doubleheader with the Braves on Monday. Going to be a lot of fun. Let's switch gears now, because Georgia State, they've got a big game this weekend. Georgia State, well, the biggest game was the fact that they found a way to upset Vanderbilt 36-32 a couple weeks ago. So now you turn the page after the bye week, and Georgia State now hosting Georgia Southern in a rivalry game this Saturday, 3:30. Going to be a big one. Always is when these two teams play each other. And head coach Del McGee, he was speaking on just the gap in between this big win for Vanderbilt and this game against Georgia Southern, how his team is going to respond and hopefully keep the momentum trending in the right direction after just a huge win over Vanderbilt. Coach McGee was speaking to the media earlier this week. Here he is.
Coaches had a lot of energy, which is to be expected, and I just really appreciate our team for responding to having a bad practice to turn this practice into one of our best that we've had this year. It's going to take a team effort in all three phases. Southern poses a lot of different issues on both sides of the ball. They're very well coached. They play extremely hard. Offensively, they make you defend the entire field with a lot of their bubbles and screen game and quick game in the passing game. And then they got very serviceable running backs. They got a big pounder, and they also got two smaller guys they run like pounders, but they also add value in the passing game. Then their O-line is very stout. They're doing a good job, and they played two really tough opponents in Boise State and Ole Miss. So statistically, things may not look like they have a very good defense, but they really do. They really fly around. I mean, we talk about Ole Miss being one of the top teams in the country and how they competed and we're in the game on the road. That speaks volumes on their preparation, and we got our work cut out for us from that standpoint. So they bring a lot of pressure, change up their looks. You can really see that they're dialed into the scheme that they're running, and they got a very good check system once you check on offense. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and open up for questions.
Obviously, you've got the UConn game later in the season, but if we can call the first 3 games the non-con portion of your schedule, what have you learned about your team?
They're very resilient. You can kind of see the leadership and just the connection that we've been preaching from spring ball through summer camp, through fall camp, and how that kind of has transpired. There's a group that really listens. They really accept challenges. Certain guys got kind of the pulse of the team, and the rest of the guys that are kind of learning, they're really responding to those leaders on our team. So just proud of the growth that we've had. We're still a team in progress from a growth standpoint because we're still not where we need to be from a schematic standpoint in all 3 phases. We're continuing to build our foundation from that standpoint, but we're just continuing to grow. But I can say that our team is very connected, and they love each other, and they play very, very hard for one another.
You mentioned over here, Coach. You mentioned in the teleconference and the teleconference for the Sun Belt yesterday about Southern having maybe better conditioning coming off of a game, that Ole Miss game. You guys coming off of a bye. How do you compensate for that with these weaker practices coming off of the bye and getting ready for the game on Saturday?
Yeah, we really tried to attack it last week with a lot of more conditioning last week, and then just how we practice this week as far as the game speed, practice speed, making sure that we're transitioning from drill to drill, covering down offense and defensive lines, come out the stack. So just how we practice the rest of this week is very important to get back a little bit of that game conditioning. You really can't really get that back, so it's always that first series is going to feel like, oh, my goodness, we're back to playing, and then after that they'll settle down, and the weather's going to be nice. It's not going to be really hot. Hopefully the hurricane will get on up out of here, and we have a great day of football.
And you mentioned having to allow some players to get healthier. Just a status update on guys like Justin Abraham and some other guys that have been dinged up over these past few weeks and their status for Saturday.
Yeah, I'm very encouraged by today. IG is another one. They look like they'll be ready to go for Saturday, so just got to make sure we finish the right way and continue to get treatment and maximize our recovery. But Justin and IG should be back. To what percent, I'm not sure, but they were out today in their starting spots.
You said there was Monday practice wasn't great, but the Tuesday one today was much better. Was that a coach thing? Did you guys have to grab them, or did the players, the leaders, kind of police themselves like you've talked about? And
yeah, I challenged our leadership group after practice yesterday, and like I said, they responded and they got the message across to the rest of the team. So I'm proud of those guys for getting the team working in the right direction, and we had the right type of practice today.
You watched the game with the team, with the guys who watched the game last week, Georgia Southern's game together?
No, they were off, so some guys went home. Some guys were just at their homes, and we didn't watch it together. But we're watching it as the week progresses, and it's just not that game. They got numerous games on the slate that like I said, they pose a lot of different problems. They're very sound, well coached, and they got a lot of staff cohesion. So they understand exactly what they're doing in all 3 phases, and we got to make sure that we're on top of our game in all 3 phases.
Back with the injuries the last game, you had Isaiah go out in the middle of the game, you had Alec Johnson leave, and you had Shams and Mason step up in those roles. I guess it's always a next man up mentality, but there's no guarantee that they meet the moment. It seems like they kind of did two Saturdays ago.
Yeah, that's right. We got next man up mentality, and that's why we practice the way we do, because we want to make sure we're developing our entire roster, because we don't have a crystal ball and can't predict the future when guys go down. So we're not going to create any excuses. I feel like all of our 2s and 3s get ample work from a physical and mental standpoint. So it's just like scenarios in the game. We cover a lot of different scenarios that we may not practice, but we mentally go over things through film study, and sometimes you got to bring that situation back to fruition and execute it without actually doing a physical rep of that situation. So, just proud of our guys for those guys that stepped up in that game to play to their potential. And, they still left some things out there. And, we're still a work in progress, like I said, but I'm proud of where we are right now and just really excited for the opportunity to play in this game.
Coach, so can you take us behind the scenes into what this bye week was like for you? Like behind the scenes, like what you had, downtime, how did you feel?
We really wasn't a whole lot of downtime. Like I said, we was working our entire roster, working on ourselves, and then I went out recruiting Thursday, Friday, got back Saturday morning. So our entire staff, I was in Fort Lauderdale and Miami this weekend at 2 games and saw some of our commits down in South Florida, and all of our coaches were out on the road Thursday, Friday, basically. So not so much family time. Then I watched football all day Saturday, got a chance to get a nap, which was much needed, and I went back to work on Sunday. So just typical times right now. And my son, he went home. He didn't want me to come home. He wanted to spend some time with his mom. So that allowed me to kind of take a nap and just watch football. Otherwise, I'd have been with them. So it was good for me.
So with the announcement that the game was going to be changing from modern day hate to the Georgia Grown Bowl, can you give us your commentary on what you feel about the change?
I think it's a wonderful change. I don't know about the hate part of it, but just having, Georgia Grown, which is the #1 state producer of economy here in our state, and able to bridge the gap between agriculture and the city of Atlanta, and having Commissioner Harper bring this game to both universities, I think is an outstanding deal. A trophy will be involved with the game, and someone's going to have bragging rights for 364 days. So I think it's a great thing for the city of Atlanta and both universities. And, that decision to change the game is definitely an administrative decision. And, I support both administrations for making this happen.
Should have been many in attendance this week. After the Vanderbilt game, I'm just kind of casual on social media. I could see a lot of people who have been or was going to come to visit reacting to that. Talk about what that did.
It doesn't do anything long term, but short term, we want to try to get guys that fit our culture and fit academically, fit socially, and play the style of football that we want to see played on Saturdays here. So it's a recruiting process, but we're also evaluating recruits when they come on campus. So it's kind of a twofold deal. We never stop recruiting. Just the way I've been in that process is just a continual thing, and you either recruit or you lose, because recruiting is the bloodline of any football program, and there's a standard to be met. And just working with my old boss, if you couldn't recruit, you're gonna get fired. So we kind of got that same philosophy here, and all of our coaches are accepting that challenge of making sure they're evaluating, not only the football side, but who they are as a person, academic status, how they fit in our program. So it's just not from a football standpoint. It's really all facets. We really want outstanding citizens, guys that care about academics, care about their 50-year plan, and then the football part will take care of itself. And then you got to get those elite traits. Got to get big people up front on both sides of the ball. That's where it all starts. We're still got a ways to go from that standpoint, and we're going to try to address that as the season progresses and see what happens with the transfer portal moving forward. And you can't negate elite speed. So we're looking for those elite characteristics on the football field, but also they got to have the things off the field that warrant, a well-connected football team.
Coach,
Alrighty, that is Georgia State head coach Del McGee Speaking about a huge matchup with an in-state rival this weekend in Georgia Southern. Georgia State 2-1, fresh off the upset win over Vanderbilt. It's 36-32. Man, what a game that was a couple weeks ago. But kind of a weird situation now when you got a little bit of free time. You got the off week in between that Vanderbilt win and this matchup with Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern lost last week at Ole Miss 52-13. Going to be a lot of fun. Saturday, 3:30, Georgia State and Georgia Southern. We've been talking a lot about the Braves' playoff chances. How about the playoff chances for Atlanta United? They are 3 points out of the final playoff spot in the Eastern Conference with 4 games to go, beginning with Saturday's game in Philadelphia against Philadelphia Union. This is a Philly team that's in front of United in the standings, so it would behoove you to not just take a point and tie, but you really got to stack wins at this point in these last 4 games if you want to backdoor your way into the playoffs. We got to hear from a couple members of the team this afternoon, midfielder Bartosz Slisz and interim head coach Rob Valentino, talking about United's chances and just the general mood of the club with 4 games to play and the fact that we're not totally out of the playoff picture just yet. So we heard from them this afternoon. Let's hear from them now.
Thank you. Thank you, Bartek. I hope you're doing well. Thinking back to that first Philadelphia match this season, it was 2-2. Y'all had a 2-goal lead, gave up 2 kind of weird goals, but it seemed to start this kind of pattern. I'm just curious what you remember about that game and how y'all can perhaps see it out better this time.
To be honest, I don't remember this game. Like,
Okay.
we had too many games in this season, and so yeah, I don't want to say, like, I don't want to lie. So like, I don't remember this game, but what I would like to say, like, that is just the next game, and it's just the next opponent, and we also prepare for the each opponent, like, in different style. And we have also the analysis today with the coaches, and I think we know what we have to do. And yeah, I hope we're gonna do it on Saturday, and finally we're gonna win.
Is it a must-win game for y'all, do you think?
Yes, of course, because we have only the 4 games left, and it's the rival opponent in also in the table. So we have to win this game if we want to play in playoffs. So I'm fully motivated, and I hope also the whole team is. So it's a very important game. I think one of the important game in this season, and for sure it will not be easy, the game, but if we're gonna stick together, if we're gonna play our game in our style, I think we can win this game. Yeah.
And what do you need to do better than in the previous 3 games?
For sure, we have to be like, compared to last game, like, we could win and we could also lose this game. So if we win, we have to be, I think, more clever, and to don't concede this goal, because if we win against New York, I think our situation is much better, but it's fast, of course. And so I think this is important, that we have to, like, stick together, try to clean sheet on the beginning, then we're gonna score, because in every game we have a lot of chances and to score the goal. So for me, the most important is the clean sheet.
This is going to be an odd question, but have you ever experienced a hurricane before?
I think I had, but it was like 15 years ago, so it was
Okay.
a long time ago, and I don't I have the few, like, images in my head, but it's yeah, it was long time ago. Yeah.
And are y'all going to be able to get out okay today on the airplane?
Excuse me.
Is the flight to Philadelphia? Is
Okay.
it leaving today, or y'all going tomorrow?
Yeah, we're gonna go tomorrow. I hope we're gonna
Okay.
go, and I hope the weather will be good, because yeah, I heard that that this accumulation will be in the morning. So I hope in the afternoon will be good, and we're gonna fly to Philadelphia.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's all. Yes. Okay.
Anyone else on have questions? Jason, Madison, anybody?
Yes. Looking at ahead to Philadelphia, what are some things that they do well and that y'all need to figure out, especially heading in, and what do they do well, especially heading into Saturday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they stay in the compact and they play like direct balls, like a lot of long balls. They're gonna fight. I think it will be a tough game, like a lot of fight in the middle. We have to win a lot of second balls, and yeah, it's gonna be important. And but we have to also adapt to this situation, to this game, to this opponent, and yeah, and I think if we win the second balls in the middle, and if we're gonna fight in the good way, I think everything will be good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bartek. You answered exactly what I was going to ask. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Rob.
Hey.
I'm curious if y'all are discussing any storm plans on getting to Philadelphia, leaving now, maybe pushing the flight later in the day, anything like that.
Yeah, there's been a couple of different things. Obviously, with weather, we can't predict and make the decision yet. So we've got plan A, B, C. Yeah, at the moment we're keeping everything on schedule, and then from there, it's if we can push things back if we have to. So yeah, we were monitoring this yesterday, and now luckily, like today, we got through the session. The weather was fine. You guys decided not to come still, but it's okay. No, but yeah, everything's fine. So we'll just kind of monitor it from there and see how it goes.
So this is where being able to fly charter, I would assume, is the most beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Maybe
when you
not the
said
only
planes
one,
A,
but
B,
this is very beneficial for us for sure.
and when you said planes A, B, and C, were you being literal or just?
No, I'm just saying that we'll go to, we have plan A is that we make the flight. Plan B is that probably we push it back from there.
Okay.
Figure out CU, like, you know what I mean? Like there'll be,
Okay.
we can't make a plan without knowing what's exactly going on. And then like everything, we just approach it as it comes.
Okay. Thinking back on that first Philadelphia match, way back in April, finished 2-2. Y'all had a 2-0 lead and gave up two kind of weird goals, but it seemed like, for better or worse, almost just a perfect example of the things that have happened this season. Two good goals by y'all, and then just two really weird goals by Philadelphia. I was curious if you agreed with that, and just how do y'all, if you can get a lead on Philadelphia at Subaru Park, how do you close this game out maybe better than that game and some others this season?
Yeah, I mean, I look back to that game, and honestly, I think that's almost what started things, like to go not in a great direction. Because you look at it, like we were winning the game 2-0. We probably should have seen it out, if I remember correctly, and everything. Like we were playing well, and there was a very fluky goal that 9 times out of 10 doesn't ever happen again. And then all of a sudden, momentum shifted their way. They do a really good job of when they score one, they usually come pretty quickly to get the next one. That's happened quite often with them, that they're very resilient like that. And then from there, the game, yeah, we drew it, and then I feel like from there we started to maybe lose confidence. Whatever happened in the season, right? I feel like that was kind of a catalyst to it. The one thing, if we go up and away from home, we have to be able to see games out, whether it's a tactical thing in terms of what our formation looks like. Being for them, it's sometimes you have to prepare for the unexpected. So you can prepare for the tactics and all those things, but the way they score goals, like it's a credit to them because they do a good job of it, but you can't pattern them out all the time. They score things that they're just in the right areas at the right times, that they're very persistent, and they're an experienced group that has been here before. So if we get a lead away from home, and especially a place like that, we have to be able to be defensively solid first, and then be really smart in all moments. Ball goes out of bounds, be smart to be in an area knowing that they're going to throw the ball in quickly. All restarts, be hyper alert too. So that'll be a key. Hopefully we are in that position to be in that.
And any injury updates on Jonde or Quentin?
No, no updates there. Jamal's in concussion protocol. He took the knock against Reyes the other night and passed everything to come back into the game. Even came back into that next day of training and everything seemed okay. It just then, yeah, head injuries are tricky. Sometimes you have the delayed headaches and things like that. So he's been dealing with that. So at this moment, he's in concussion protocol, so he won't be available for this game. Now we'll see how he progresses as the days go and for the next games.
Okay, and any other new injuries or anybody getting called up from the twos now that?
No, everybody's back to normal.
Okay, thank you.
All right, there you have it. Atlanta United getting ready for kickoff on Saturday night on the road against Philadelphia. Mentioned before, it's pretty much a must-win at this point. You're 3 points out of a playoff spot with 4 games to go, beginning with this Saturday. Let's quickly switch gears and talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, it's a big game because it's a rivalry game this Sunday inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium under a roof, so regardless of the weather outside, we know that one's going to get played at the Benz this weekend. Falcons and Saints at 1 p.m. Always big when the Saints come marching into town. But some injury news to report today. Running back Bijan Robinson, as well as Matthew Judon, one of the new defensive acquisitions for this Falcons team, both limited in practice today. So that's not great. Robinson, it was a shoulder. Judon, hamstring, both limited. Another note, offensive lineman Caleb McGarry did not practice at all today. He's still day-to-day with an injury there. So those are the injury notes for the Falcons. Yesterday, Saints starting running back Alvin Kamara did not practice. He did today, so he's trending at least in a positive direction for the Saints. Positive if you're a Saints fan, I guess. So that'll be interesting. Obviously, you would hope that, especially in a rivalry game like that, that both the starting running backs are at full strength. Bijan Robinson really coming to his own. He's talked to us not only about his progress at the running back position, but as a blocking running back and just all the various things that he's able to do out of the backfield for the Falcons. Going to need him at 100% or close to 100% when the Falcons and Saints play this weekend. It's Falcons and Saints Sunday afternoon. Hey, if you think that you're a contender for this division, got to start somewhere, and it starts this weekend with a divisional game against the Saints. Obviously, the Falcons, one of the favorites in the NFC South, and in a weak NFC South, a lot of people picking the Falcons to win the NFC South. So, going to be a big one this weekend at 1 p.m. All right, if it's your first time here, we always wrap up with what's on your mind, and what's on my mind, the Georgia Bulldogs going on the road into Tuscaloosa, hostile environment. We know that Kirby Smart has struggled in the past against Alabama, 1-5 all-time against the Crimson Tide. Now, the difference, of course, is that Nick Saban is no longer the coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's now Kalen DeBoer, who came over from Washington. What's on my mind, though, is I still think Georgia's going to struggle on the road at Tuscaloosa. This is a Georgia offense that has really left a lot to be desired from Georgia fans in the first couple of weeks, whether that's by design or not. I was having a conversation with someone recently who thought that maybe Kirby Smart was intentionally holding back in that game against Kentucky, which was just a real struggle at times, and a game that Georgia just kind of squeaked by on the road against Kentucky. We're going to learn a lot more about this team this weekend. Either way, Georgia's offense really struggling to get anything going deep down the field. They were one of the best teams in explosive plays a year ago. I believe they ranked 73rd in that category heading into their second SEC game. Whether or not Carson Beck is 100%, who really knows? He says he is, but we know he's been, dealing with that shoulder. The good news in all of this is that Georgia had a week off to prepare for the Alabama Crimson Tide. They're still a 2-point road favorite going into Tuscaloosa, but this is a different Alabama team, and obviously it's a different Georgia team, but Nick Saban is no longer there for the Crimson Tide. So we will see how Georgia handles all that. Jalen Milroe, one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC, and he can run. So if you let him get out in space, it's going to be a long afternoon for the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia and Alabama in primetime Saturday night, 7:30. Our own Bailey Burmaster making the trip to cover things out there for Atlanta News First. And it's got to be the game of the year. If you're a Georgia-Alabama fan or not, got to be one of the games of the year. So a busy weekend of college football, busy weekend of NFL, busy weekend as it always is in Atlanta. Thanks for watching Sports Tonight, Atlanta News First Plus. In the words of Ellie Parker, go watch some sports, guys.